Rameshbabu Praggnanandhaa does not only have an incredible amount of A's in his name, he's also currently being watched by the whole world for marching through super GMs faster than hungry Americans on their way to get fast food. What a lot of people don't know about him is that he was at one point the youngest international master of all time. He lost that record though when Mishra Abhimanyu became an international master and was just 1 month younger than Pragg was when he got the title. The two prodigies battled against each other at the Chessable Masters 2022. Pragg was playing with the black pieces. Let's get right into it. Abhimanyu played e4 and we have c5 by Pragg, a Sicilian. This is going to be interesting. Mishra develops the knight and Pragg plays e6. We are now in the Sicilian French variation. They both develop some pieces. We have this fianchetto setup here with the white bishop. This is going to be important. And to develop some more pieces. Now here, Pragg plays e5. The reason is he does not want Mishra to play e5. Before, this wasn't really a threat, because I just go to g4, attack your pawn. If you defend it with the queen now, I play queen c7, and I just keep attacking your center pawn. Now, when the queen is here, and let's say black wastes a move, and I play e5, this move does not really do anything, because it's attacked twice and defended twice. So now white could just kick the knight again, and I mean, where are you going? On to h6 and then? So Pragg didn't want to deal with that and played e5 himself. We have castles, bishop develops, and castles. c3 seems like Mishra wants to play d4 and strike in the center. But we see here a common idea also in the modern versions of the Ruy Lopez, where you don't actually want to play d4, but only play d3 afterwards. The reason for c3 is a completely different one. You want to control the center and those key squares. You see, before he played that, this knight was very well placed. It had a lot of options to go forward. Now, there aren't a lot of options anymore, so this weakens the black knight. We have castles and knight to a3. Now I know a lot of beginners will be confused right now, because everybody knows that knight on the rim looks dim. Of course, the knight won't stay there. This is just a transfer place. How Naroditsky would say, it's Frankfurt Airport. We have d6, solidifying the center, and knight to c2. After that, rook e8 and d3, opening up the diagonal for the bishop. Pragg plays h6 to prohibit the bishop from coming to g5, where the bishop actually wants to be. This is not a big deal. Mishra plays the knight to e3. And this is already very interesting and a very instructive moment. A lot of the times, almost all of the times actually, when you have this pawn structure, you want to place a knight onto d5. The knight there is incredibly strong. Like, imagine if this knight would have been on e5 and is not challengeable. It covers all of these important squares in black's position. So black really wants to prevent the knight from going there. So he plays bishop to e6, overprotecting this square. Now white is going to h4. He says, well, if all of your energy is focused here, and you want to prevent me from going on this square, I will just also try to go on this square. And you can't stop both, I just have too much pressure. So Pragg attacks in the center. You don't really want to take here, because after something like takes, and maybe takes, this bishop is very active, the knight is actually pretty good here, and this is quite of a big threat. Of course, you don't want to trade the bishops here, because then you just have tremendous white square weaknesses. Probably you would want to play the knight back, but still, this is considered better for black. So Mishra does not take, but instead is playing the knight on f5. We see this in a lot of Ruy Lopez's, that the knight on f5 is incredibly strong. It also sets up future sacrifices with the bishop here. In this game, Pragg decided to ignore it, because you can't really do anything against the knight. If you take with the bishop, I just take with this knight, and now this bishop is also opened up. This is looking very dangerous. And you can't kick it with the pawn, because then I win this pawn with check. So you kind of have to accept it and just keep on going with your own plan, which is to play d4. Pragg is saying, well, yes, your knights are looking very good, but I have a lot of space in the center. We have knight to d5, trying to have it all, and here white almost lost a piece. And this is very instructive. You have to be incredibly careful when two pieces of yours are only protected by one other piece. Right now, the only reason why white is not losing a piece by black taking this knight and removing the defense of that knight is that the pawn now also attacks his own knight. So after I take and you take, I take back, Mishra takes the pawn and forks the rooks. I bet you missed that. Pragg of course did not miss that with over 15 minutes on the clock. By the way, how did Pragg do that he has more time than he started with? That's incredible. Was this all preparation by him? So we have this fork and Pragg blitzes out bishop to d7. We have bishop takes rook and queen takes rook. Why would he allow this? Here's the reason. Yes, white is up the exchange now, but black has a lot of attacking chances. Whenever you fianchetto a bishop like that, it's very important that the bishop stays in the square, because now the white squares are incredibly weak. Mishra realizes that and plays f3 to shut down the queen. Now here it wouldn't be wrong to just simply play bishop h3, attack the rook and get the bishop on a nice square. But Pragg has different plans. He first defends this pawn, which was attacked and not defended, and after Mishra develops his bishop, he plays f5, going all in ballistic. He says, yes, you are up the exchange, but I will attack you with everything I got. So we have the rook coming into the center, very reasonable move, and queen to d5, attacking this pawn, and here I really can't figure out why Mishra didn't just play c4. c4 attacks the queen, gains control over the light squares, which are weak, and also defends the pawn. The computer also thinks c4 is the best move, but I think Mishra had another thing in mind. I think he was laying a little trap here, because he played the queen to f2, hanging this pawn. Now if you take the pawn, we have c takes d, and f4. If you take the pawn, then the pawn on d4 is hanging with a skewer, and it's almost impossible to defend this. You could try to defend it with the rook, but after rook takes, queen takes, still defending it, I play rook to e1, and now all of my pieces are active and attacking, and remember, white is still up the exchange. The only thing black has going for him is his attack. If the attack is gone and white starts attacking, white is just simply winning. So black didn't take the pawn. Instead, he played the bishop back to c7. Now the queen can skewer on d4. Mishra realizes that and plays c4 now. The queen moves away, and here we enter a bit of shuffling. First we have rook to e2, preparing to double up, but also making space for the other rook to go on the queen side. Because right now you don't want to place this rook on the queen side, you want to keep it on the semi-open file. You want to keep it on the semi-open file in the center, so you open up the way for this rook. We have bishop to c6, a3 looking to play b4, and a5 stopping b4. b3, bishop back to a8. And this is a very strange looking move, but bear with me, it will make sense in a second. The queen is going to e1 and queen b6 attacking this pawn. The pawn moves up, we have takes, and takes. And now bishop to c7. It starts to make sense, trust me. Rook to a2 and queen to b7. And now this pawn is attacked. If we go a bunch of moves back, for example here, you can't just play queen to c6, because then the pawn isn't actually attacked, because it's protected by the rook, so you can't take it with the queen, you would lose the queen. So he does all of this shuffling to attack this weak pawn and attack on the weak light squares. It's pretty difficult now to defend this pawn. You can't use the queen, because the queen is stuck to defend the bishop, which is attacked by the other queen. You can't really use the king, because if you move it here, you just get in the line of attack. I play e4 and have a comfortable advantage. And you could move back this rook, but then both of your rooks are stuck defending just one pawn, and you don't really want that. So Mishra came up with a plan. He played bishop to a5. If you take now, I take, queen takes, your bishop is hanging and I'm up a piece. So Pragg didn't do this obviously, but Pragg also didn't want to trade bishops. Remember, these bishops are incredibly strong and Pragg needs his attack, otherwise he will lose. So he came up with a tactical defense, rook to a8, pinning the bishop. But this is a mistake. If Mishra finds rook to a1 now, defending the rook, there is this combination, after he moves away the bishop from the attack, and c5, sacrificing a pawn. If you take, queen to e5 wins the game. This pawn is attacked, this bishop is attacked, and and the rook is getting active, you are getting attacked now, and as I said before countless times, if Mishra manages to make an attack, he will win this game. But Mishra did not find rook to a1, probably because he only had 40 seconds left on the clock. He instead played queen to a1, defending the pin like that, and this is a mistake. I move away the bishop from the attack, and white plays f4, the next just not so good move. Because now I just take and my attacks get stronger, while your king is just getting weakened. We have queen takes d4, attacking the bishop, but Pragg plays queen to e7, making an enormous threat. And you can pause the video here to see if you can figure out what black is threatening right now. The threat is bishop to c5, pinning the queen to the king and simply winning it. So Mishra moves back the queen, but Pragg plays the tactic nevertheless. Mishra moves in between the pawn, but this doesn't work, and you can pause the video again here to see if you find the tactic for black here. I hope you found it. It's queen to e4, attacking the pawn and simultaneously threatening checkmate in 1. You simply can't defend that. White tries to go queen to g2, but I just take the pawn with check. White has to move out of the way, and Pragg takes the bishop. You can't take back with the rook, because then that's simply checkmate in 1. So Mishra moves away the rook and attacks the queen, but this doesn't work. We have queen takes, rook takes, and you could simply take the rook with your bishop, but Pragg finds an even better move. Following the philosophy, if you find a good move, search for a better one, rook to a2. And this is just lights out for white. You can't protect this rook. If you move here, I take you, and you can't even take back with the rook because the rook is pinned. Mishra Abhimanyu resigns with 20 seconds on the clock, and Pragg wins this game.